This is the Last Minute Blues Podcast with former Blues defenseman Jamie Rivers and Donnie Fandango of 105.7 The Point.
It is the Last Minute Blues Podcast. Donnie Fandango, Jamie Rivers. All right, first and foremost, we got to talk about something kind of a little bit serious. And then I'm going to get ridiculously silly. Okay, so last episode, we had a new intro, okay? And in that intro, we did not have a sponsor because we don't have the head sponsor like we did in 2022.
Yeah,
so
they fired us.
In the intro, it is just you and I's name and not Jeff's name. So we are going to get that fixed. I was going to get it fixed this week, but I got busy doing some other things, so I didn't. But it's just, it will get taken care of. He is as much a part of this show and will always be going forward.
Yes.
So I just want to get that out there.
Perfect.
Number 2, I enjoy wearing women's deodorant. It smells way better than men's deodorant. I feel like it does the exact same thing. I'm using a Dove deodorant today, and I got to tell you something. I've never smelled so good in my entire life.
Okay. So many questions.
And I even messaged Jamie this morning on my way in to say, hey, man, we got something we got to talk about first thing. And it's this, because I was in my car. And
I didn't expect this cinder block in the forehead that you just hit me with.
Dude, I smell so good, though.
Okay. So look, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it.
Dive right into it, buddy.
Okay, so let's go back to the origin.
Okay.
Why did you use women's deodorant? Like, did you not have any? Were you out? Did you get it?
Yes.
So then you used your wife's, I'm
exactly.
imagining?
Yep, absolutely so.
Okay.
And it was,
what scent is that?
It's like some kind of like powder, like a baby powder, something.
Yeah.
It's just very fresh, right? So I was using.
What were you using before? Yeah, sorry.
Some kind of like Axe, something or the other.
Well, that's the beginning of your problems.
That
right
my
Nothing
lord,
against Axe.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, it's like all the dudes' deodorants like smell kind of like that. And it's just way too much, man. I don't like that. I don't want to smell like I'm in high school. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that's why. And so then I out of deodorant, I go to the store and I saw like a Dove spray. I don't know if it's men's or women's, but I got it. And not only does it, one, keep me from stinking, but I smell wonderful.
So it's a spray then?
Yes, correct.
So you basically probably bought a Dove body spray for women. And you're using it under your arms now, which is fine.
Listen,
because it's a body spray. It encompasses the body.
So what you're saying is that when it really needs to work as a deodorant, it's not going to work, and I'm going to smell like spray and funk.
Maybe. I don't know. This is our own little experiment here. So I don't know.
Well, listen, I ain't going back until given a reason to. Because, again, I'm sitting in my car this morning driving in going, oh, my God, I smell amazing. So if you don't want to be my friend anymore, I completely understand.
No, I look at
you look mystified right now.
No, I'm just I've taken off guard here a little bit, okay? So many questions still. So you smell like your wife now.
Yeah. She smells great.
Yeah. I mean, I've met her a couple of times and I thought she smelled great too. I mean, for what it's worth. So you're carrying a little bit of your wife around with you all day long.
Yeah.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure she thinks that's kind of romantic too.
Yeah, probably. I'm just trying
not to and parlay that somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, somehow
I should.
Whatever it is you guys do.
You know, also too, and I don't mean to switch subjects, but just to make sure that everybody knows, you and I filling in on the Riz show tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Me, you, Riz, and King Scott.
That should be an interesting potpourri of people, that's for sure.
No kidding, man.
So,
no kidding.
To go back to the deodorant.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
I, too, have used women's deodorant a time or two.
Yeah.
Out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
And I know exactly what you're talking about. My girlfriend uses a stick, not a spray, and it's a baby powder-ish type thing. And I, too, at times have felt like this smells pretty darn good.
Darn right, man.
Now, all things being equal, I use an Old Spice deodorant on the regular. It's called Wolf Thorn.
Okay.
It honestly smells like blue Gatorade.
Oh.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
It's a game changer. It's kind of a refreshing smell. Like it's not like overpowering blue Gatorade, but when you smell, you go, okay, yeah, I get it.
What I need is the hint of the smell.
Yeah.
I don't need to get whacked over the head with the smell. I can't stand that.
You don't smell so bad that it has to be overpowering.
No, not at all. It's like, dude, sometimes I get into the elevator after salespeople here.
Uh-oh.
Good Lord, baby Jesus.
Are you outing the sales staff
What
here?
cologne are you taking a bath in?
Which person?
I'm not. That's, I also saw one of them not wash their hands in the bathroom today too. But that's a whole other thing altogether. But yeah, I don't ever want to be that guy that just, with that smell that's completely overriding.
I'm with you. So one of my biggest OCD things in life is not being dirty or smelling bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it drives my girlfriend nuts because she obviously is the benefactor of having someone clean around her. But yes, I'm over the top like every day when I shower or whatever. Like today. Which, by the way, we'll go into my gauntlet of the next 36 hours. It's because it should be sponsored. It's a marathon.
Yeah, no kidding.
But like between this show or between the fast lane and going downtown, I'll add a little deodorant, reset make sure I smell okay. Like anytime I change, like I'm always making sure that I'm never that guy like, oof, did you get a whiff of Rivers?
Yeah.
Eesh.
Yeah.
Smells like a hockey bag.
Yeah. My youngest son is he's in the throes of puberty.
Oh, yeah.
And he, though, does not care. And so Mary and I having
How old is he?
He's 13.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Mary and I, having to hey, man, come on, dude. You don't want to be that guy that smells.
No, you don't want to be the kid at school that everybody goes, ooh.
No, wait. And plus,
here.
you're too handsome. You don't need that. Smell good, and you'll be fine. Okay.
So can I get into the next 36 hours before
you get
we go
into the
blues?
next 36 hours, and then we've got a couple of emails we haven't had in a while, too.
So when I accepted the invitation to go on the Riz show with you guys on Friday, I really didn't think it out. Like many things in my life. And so what ends up happening is, I'm here today. And so for our listeners to get a little sneak peek behind the curtain, it's noon on Thursday. Yeah, I got to get the day right. It's noon on Thursday. We'll podcast for a half hour, 40 minutes, whatever. I'll rush over, grab a little bite to eat. We'll do show prep. I will for the fast lane, do 4 hours of radio. Then I'm going down straight to the Enterprise Center to do a full hockey game, pre and post.
Mm-hmm.
Post game takes me to about 11 o'clock at night, gets me home about 11:30, 11:45. Turn around, I'll have to get up at 4:30 in the morning. Get back down here to the station to jump on for 4 hours of the Rizzuto show, which I'm very excited to do.
Yeah.
Pause for a couple of hours, about 2 hours. Eat lunch. Then I'll do prep for the fast lane. 4 hours of radio for the fast lane. Then quick wardrobe change, and I'm headed to the Blues Hall of Fame dinner tomorrow night.
At the Mac.
And then Saturday morning, there are some hockey things and workout to get in, and then back on TV Saturday night. So that's my next couple of days, Donnie.
Seriously, though, man, like as a guy, as a former professional athlete, a guy that keeps himself in really good shape, like you have got to have a way that you get through this gauntlet. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you mentally prepare for this? Because, man, this is a lot of stuff. It's a lot of fun, but it's work, and it's a lot of stuff.
So I think the biggest thing that athletes crave once they retire is that competition and that battling through injury, battling through adversity, and, coming out on top at the end. So that's kind of the way I look at it is how little sleep can I actually operate on, but still fulfill all the duties to the best of my ability. And then when it's all over, I'll sit back because it will be a bit of an adrenaline rush to get through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
When I sit back on Saturday night following the Blues game and I kick my feet up and I pour a nice glass of bourbon, I'm going to sit there and giggle to myself and be like, you did it. You son of a biscuit baker. You did it.
You're going to say, I'm the man.
Yeah.
I know it. That's fantastic.
I'm like, I'm the man.
And then he's out before the bourbon is even done.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we look forward to it, man. And, I mean, these Blues, and we'll talk about it in a second, but, man, they have been nothing but surprises all year long, and that absolutely
like a
continues.
box of chocolates, Donnie.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, we got a couple of quick emails here real quick. You can always email the show at lmbp@1057thepoint.com. This one's from Andrew. Said, hey, boys, firstly, I miss Jeff. What a dude. Now, hockey questions. In my opinion, the past few times Vladdy's been out, the Blues have looked pretty great. Vladdy's one of my favorites, but I can't help but notice the team plays better. Thoughts? That's from Andrew H. in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know if the team plays better because, talking about a guy with, 85 points last year. Is he on that pace this year? No, but he's still one of your most dynamic players. So I can't sit here with clear conscience and say your team's better without Vladimir Tarasenko. You're different, and you have to play a different style. And I think that based on the roster that you have, for the most part, playing the style that the Blues are playing right now is to their advantage. I think that Craig Berube has done a really smart thing. I think that he's put all of his dynamic, we'll put it air quotes, dynamic talent together with Thomas, Kyrou, and Buchnevich. And then the rest, the other three lines are blue collar. They're that, good puck management, get in on the forecheck, cycle the puck, get to the front of the net. You're looking at some of the way the goals are being scored. Thomas and Kyrou are doing their thing. Kyrou with a great toe drag last game, zips it in. Okay, great. That's what he's supposed to do. Right. Then the 2-on-1, both of those two youngsters flying up the ice, little drop the shoulder, slide it over a one-timer back of the net. Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. But then I look at the other guys. Alexandrov skating right to the front of the net. Santini shoots a puck, rebound, boom, rebound, goal. You're seeing exactly the way it should be happening for each theme to the line, right? And so with Tarasenko out, what it does is it simplifies your math. Because if Vladdy was playing, well, he'd have to find himself on one of those top two lines. And then you're eliminating Barbashev, Shannon, Saad, or you're messing with the Thomas line. It's just the mathematics of it. Whereas, and this is nothing against Vladdy, but if you brought Ryan O'Reilly back, you have the same dynamic. What would happen is one of the fourth line type players, like a Pitlick or a Walker or a Levo, they'd find themselves out of the lineup, which I don't want that for them. But you can do that. You can drop Barbashev down and everything has a chance. But if you bring Tarasenko back, it's not the same. It's not a blue-collar guy for a blue-collar guy. So overall, you're not a better team without him. But right now, the way stylistically you're playing, the mathematics are easier for Craig Berube.
And I heard that in the second intermission on Tuesday night, that Coach Berube, I don't know if you heard this, but Coach Berube got after the boys. And then they came out and hit those first two goals real quick. But he supposedly, in the postgame, I think it was Mike Van Ryn that wouldn't exactly say what was said, but that there was a message delivered loud and clear from Chief.
Yeah, I think Craig Berube just expressed to them, how important oral hygiene is. And make sure you brush your teeth a couple times a day and floss.
Maybe they talked about deodorant too.
Yeah, I'm sure he talked about, I'm sure he will talk about Donnie Fandango wearing women's deodorant in the future. No, Chief got after him.
Yeah, man.
But you know what? That's a good coach because the timing has to be correct. Just like anything in life, any business, any school teacher, anybody who's ever either been a boss or a teacher or been a student or an employee, your boss or you as the boss, the timing has to be right. If it's always the same stuff, every game there's a rant or every other game there's a rant, it just loses its power. And so Craig Berube, who is an intense guy, but the way he coaches is very flatline for the most part. We see him get upset behind the bench and he gets it. But with his players, it's very much the same almost all the time. And then, bam, wake-up call. And they needed it. And look at what happened. They responded. So overall, it was the perfect ending to him getting in there and getting after the guys. And now they know what the expectations are. And they know that he's also, he's not just sitting back there. Because sometimes you think, he's fine. No, he isn't.
Yeah.
No, wake up, smell the coffee because I'm not happy.
I love it. Just had the kids and Mary over to see Dr. Maxwell and the friends and the staff over there at Crestwood Dental Group. They are taking care of my family, and they're going to take great care of yours. Dr. Maxwell and Crestwood Dental Group located just off of Watson in Crestwood, and they have been our family dentist for a number of years now, and they are going to be a great family dentist for you as well. So if you don't have a dentist, maybe it's been a while since you went, maybe you don't like the dentist you have, call Dr. Maxwell. Find out more at crestwooddental.com or give him a call at 314-820-0909. Crestwood Dental Group and Dr. Maxwell, a proud sponsor of the Last Minute Blues podcast. And you know what? I know my dentist is always watching out for me to make sure that whatever procedure that I have done, he's going to do it in the best way possible for the health of my mouth and also for my ease. He knows I don't like being in the dental chair. Find out more about Dr. Maxwell and Crestwood Dental Group. Give him a call, 314-820-0909, crestwooddental.com. All right, here's the second email. This one from Aaron. It says, hey, Donnie and Jamie, I've been listening to the podcast since the 2019-2020 season and absolutely love it. I've recently gone back to the beginning of the podcast and started to re-listen to the old shows. Sorry, guys, but I have to say this. God, I didn't realize how much I miss Jeff until now. With that being said and out of the way, I've noticed a few consistent things through the show's tenure. Jamie's advice to the Blues has pretty much always been the same. Get to the net, put pucks on the goal, go to the dirty areas of the ice, and compete. Why is it such a broken record of what they need to do? I can't remember any of those things not coming out of Jamie's mouth when the guys are sucking. Someone needs to put a loop track back of them saying those things for the guys to listen to over and over, and eventually maybe it'll stick in their heads of what they need to do. On a side note, I was listening to the podcast when Jamie was telling the story. It was when his brother came to Russia to visit him and the crazy stuff that ensued. I think you guys said a future podcast with Rib's brother should be done to tell all these crazy things that happen. Why not still do that someday, like maybe in the off season? Thanks, guys. Love the podcast. Really helps me on my 3-hour round trip commute every weekday. Wow. Let's go Blues. That is from Aaron. But you know what? Aaron brings up a good point, man, because there was a number of podcasts that we've done this season where, bro, you were essentially saying the same things that they needed to do, but it was not happening. It was evident that it wasn't happening, but now it is. I'm so interested about the switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what makes it click?
Well, what I did is I downloaded the podcast and I played in their locker room. You can talk about, just putting on a loop and having it play. Well, Craig Berube and the staff are that loop.
Yeah.
They're saying the same things, man. They are. And sometimes it takes a little more time to sink in. And sometimes players get confused as to what they are or what they can do. And players are always aspiring. Any athlete, any individual for the most part is always aspiring to add something new to their craft, whatever it may be. So if we isolate the NHL, players are always looking to add something new as far as like more offense, more goal scoring, maybe a better passer. Yeah. Okay, great. But it can't be at the expense of playing the game the right way. And that happens sometimes. And it's not like guys are purposely going out there not wanting to go to the front of the net. They're thinking the game a different way. And it's no different than, a school teacher trying to get something through to a student. Some students absorb it in the first time they're taught it. Some, it takes 70 times before it sinks in. And I know this from coaching all the years. And I coach from, 4 or 5-year-old kids to NHLers that are all-stars. And sometimes the message takes longer to get through to the individual. And that's why you continuously repeat it. And that's why Craig Berube and his coaching staff never stop telling the players exactly what the expectations are. Now, some of them are realizing it. Some of them realize that the game that they want to play may not be the best style of game to suit them or to keep them in the NHL. So you got a guy who's a third-line checker and a banger out there, and he's trying to toe drag guys, and all of a sudden, teams grow tired of it. Like, he doesn't get it. No, and that's why you see guys that are incredible players in the minors, but it doesn't translate to the NHL because they can't adapt to the NHL game. Yeah. And so, anyways, it's a good note, but trust me, I'm not saying anything that Craig Berube isn't saying himself. It just takes players a variety of different ways and different times for them to understand.
I think I've asked you this before, so I'm sorry to ask a question that I've already asked before, but is defenseman in hockey pitching in baseball? Like, you can never have too many defensemen? Or are the Blues just having just an incredible amount of bad luck? I feel like we're not very far from you getting the call, Jamie. Seriously.
Well, I am on the bike every day, and I've included...
Just so everybody knows.
I've included an extra 20 minutes on the treadmill. I've got it up to about 10 miles an hour for 20 minutes. Doing pretty good. Leaning out a little bit. I'm available, Craig. Just give me a call.
Just let me know. You know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah, I've got about 3 shifts left in me, but they will be good.
3?
No, they look at the Blues. this is unfortunate. Now, they are getting some bodies back here in the near future. We had the Chief on yesterday on the fast lane, and he just said, look, Letty's right around the corner. Krug, hopefully right around the corner. So you will get some guys back. But again, depth is huge, especially at the defense position. So if you want to compare, like, position-wise, I always compare the pitcher more to the goalie in hockey. And I don't mean as far as, like, the more you have, the better. More to the psychological warfare that pitchers go through from a pitch-to-pitch basis, and the goalie with the shot on goal. And
that makes sense.
If the pitcher sucks and he gives up 4 home runs, everybody's looking at the pitcher. Or if the pitcher gives up a couple of ground balls that get booted for errors, everybody's still looking at the pitcher when you see the final score.
That makes sense.
So for the goalie, it's the same thing. But to your point about depth and number of pitchers or number of defensemen, playing defense in the National Hockey League is not easy. Especially in today's game. You can't just grab a guy and hang on to him or, go slash him or cross-check him. You can't. You got to skate. You got to think. You got to move the puck. You got to be able to join the attack. There's a lot of components to playing D in the NHL. So it's not easy to just stock the cabinets full of guys that can play.
Mm-hmm.
But the Blues have done a good job with their scouting staff. So Calle Rosen, when you look at things, all things considered, Calle Rosen was probably supposed to start the season in the minors.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. You add Scandella and Perunovic to this lineup, there's no room for Calle Rosen.
He's down there. He's in Springfield.
He's
Absolutely.
in Springfield, but that didn't happen because of injuries. So that depth signing helped you. And now look at how good Calle Rosen has played all year. And then you add a guy like Steven Santini. He's a veteran player. I think he's on his 2nd or 3rd NHL contract. Has never been able to break through and consistently play in the NHL, but that's a depth signing. What if? Right?
Right.
So now you've got him. Oh, guess what? By the way, he's playing, and he's playing really well now.
That's the amazing part to me, man, is I don't know how difficult playing defense in the NHL is, but I have some degree of guess. And these guys come in, man, and it does not – and I know that there is a difference in the players. I'm not saying there's not. But they really have not left much lacking.
Sometimes guys, before we get to the – Tyler Tucker, too, has stepped up. He's played almost 20 minutes a game last game.
Crazy.
So it's great stuff. But here's the key. And here's something that people have to remember. Just because Santini and Tucker are in the minors doesn't mean they can't play in the NHL. They're on a team in St. Louis that has a really good amount of depth. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're playing in the minors for the most part. So when you get your opportunity to play, you try to seize the moment because those guys are not just playing for the St. Louis Blues. Every night a depth guy plays, he's playing for every team in the NHL. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I had to wrap my brain around too, even as a player in the NHL, as a 6'7" defenseman or a 5'6" defenseman. Every night you're not always just playing for your team. You're playing for every other team that's watching going, okay, we could use that guy. Mm-hmm. Or you're looking for your own team that says, okay, we need to make room for this guy or give him a bigger opportunity. So for these young guys, I love their frame of mind that they've come in, they've played their game. Santini, right away, his first game, jumping up in the play, shooting the puck, like 3 or 4 shots on net. Yes, please. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And he gets an assist last game by doing the same. Joins the attack, gets a shot on net, and Alexandrov puts the puck in the net. So Santini's done a real good job of continuing the way he plays. And Tucker, the same thing. He's gritty, stay at home. He has a great job on gap control. He stands guys up very well, closes out plays. He's not going to be jumping in the rush too many times trying to score goals, which is great. Don't change what you're doing. And so compliments to those guys for coming up and doing the best that they can.
Do you see this as, Rosen creating an opportunity for himself somewhere else as a 5'6" defenseman? I mean, do you see these guys, are they good enough that they are going to be able to take this opportunity to potentially maybe get a one-way deal next year or something along those lines?
Absolutely. Calle Rosen is an NHL defenseman. I think that's what he's proven to the NHL. Now, is he an NHL defenseman here long-term? I don't know. It's tough to say. Marco Scandella, what's his future? Scott Perunovic, what's his future? Scandella, we know he's got the contract. Perunovic, we know he's got the future. Both left-handed shot defensemen. You already have Nick Leddy on a long-term deal and Torrey Krug on a long-term deal. And now you got Mikkola, who's going to be unrestricted, but nonetheless, maybe you want to keep him. That's a lot of bodies in the way when you look at Calle Rosen. But maybe the Chicago Blackhawks next year. Maybe the Arizona Coyotes. Maybe the Ottawa Senators. Your agent should start targeting the teams with need for a guy like that. That is not going to be expensive and that can step in and give you 15 to 20 minutes a game and reestablish himself as an everyday NHLer.
So I mean, are you, if you're Calle Rosen, are you and your agent having that conversation right now? Hey, next year, I think team X, Y, and Z could all be a play for you? Like, is that a conversation that's happening now, or is that a conversation that happens in the offseason? You know what I mean? How does that...
If you're the player?
Yes, but yeah, if you're the player between you and your agent.
Yeah, no, you're focusing on what you're doing.
Right now.
You don't... like to look ahead is, honestly, that's the biggest, problem. Then you start to look past what you're supposed to be doing and start to play poorly. Then you're in your own head.
Now take your eye off the ball sort of thing.
No, you don't even talk about it. I remember having these conversations with my agent where, I was having good runs on teams, and I should say I remember not having these conversations on purpose with my agent. And then when the offseason came, he would go and kick the tires on the teams where he thought I could play. And then it was inevitable that somewhere, somehow, there were teams that would pop up and give him a call that were not on the radar, that had been watching. And that's why I always say you're not always just playing for the team that you're on. You're playing for everybody else who's watching, too.
I wanted to ask you one thing here before we get out and before we're done today, and that is about Blues prospect Jimmy, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Give it a shot.
Is it Snuggerud? Snuggerud? Snuggerud. Snuggered? How the hell do you say that? And I know I've heard other people say it, too.
It's Jimmy Snuggerud.
Snuggerud.
He had I think his Dave Snuggerud, his dad or his uncle, played in the NHL too.
I'll be dang.
Yeah.
Well, this kid supposedly had an amazing, amazing World Juniors tournament. Can you kind of talk about him a little bit? And then also, too, the $1 million question that every Blues fan like me is going to ask is, when is it possible that we could see this kid?
Yeah. All right, so Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic just had a piece out yesterday or the day before. So go check that out. And it's about Jimmy Snuggerud. And JR had talked to the Minnesota Gophers head coach, assistant coach, and stuff because, Jimmy had such a great World Junior Championship. And, the rave reviews about the kid. Great kid, hard worker, really talented. Foot speed's a bit of an issue right now. He's not quite at that dynamic NHL foot speed, but he is improving. He's working on it. He's got a skating coach, and based on all the reports, his first 3 steps are getting much better, much quicker. He was one of the best players at the World Junior Championship, and what that means is for the players that are under 20 years old, the best in the world, he was one of the top guys. And so that's a great thing. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to step into the NHL anytime soon. My prediction with Jimmy Snuggerud is that 2 years from now, you're looking at maybe adding him to your lineup. He'd play a year in the minors for sure, maybe another full year in the minors, and kind of go from there. And if he takes giant steps forward, then you give him a cup of coffee in the second year. But he's a guy in my opinion, he will need a full year in the American Hockey League because that jump from college hockey or junior hockey to the NHL, it's a massive jump. The speed of the game, everything is so different. So you get that little in-between level, which is the American Hockey League, which still, by the way, we just talked about, there are lots of guys in that league that would be on NHL teams, except they're blocked, maybe by a deep roster. So that's the spot for Jimmy Snuggerud to go down and get the Springfield. Drew Bannister is doing a fantastic job in the American Hockey League for the Blues as the head coach. Jimmy gets in there, plays every situation. We're noticing a trend, right? Like Jake Neighbors went down, played in every situation. Yeah. He was ready to go, coming back up here. Anybody who's gone down and played a ton of minutes comes back up, and they're doing a great job.
As always, thank you so much for listening to the Last Minute Blues podcast. For Jamie Rivers, Jeff Burton, my name is Donnie Fandango, and as always, let's go Blues!
The Last Minute Blues podcast. Hear every episode at 101ESPN.com or 1057thepoint.com. Let's go Blues!